The crack of palm against cheek silenced first-class cabin. Baby Marcus screamed. Maya Johnson's head snapped sideways, her 6-month-old son still pressed against her chest. And then she smiled. "Did you just?" whispered the businessman in 1B, phone already recording. Flight attendant Jessica Torres stood frozen, her hand still raised, face flushed with rage and instant regret. Around them, 12 first-class passengers stared in shock. The live stream notification blinked. 47,000 viewers and climbing. Maya's voice came soft, deadly calm. "Thank you, Ms. Torres. That was exactly what I needed." The Hermes bag at Maya's feet bore a small logo most missed. Her phone buzzed with texts from Richard, CEO office. Her boarding pass showed something interesting in the frequent flyer section. But Jessica Torres saw none of it. In her mind, she'd just disciplined another entitled passenger. These touching stories of everyday discrimination reveal how black stories unfold in real-life stories that change everything. Have you ever pushed someone so far that you forgot to wonder who they really were? The trouble had been brewing since takeoff, though Maya Johnson hadn't noticed Jessica Torres watching her with predatory focus. Torres cataloged every detail, the designer baby carrier, the effortless confidence, the way Maya commanded space without trying. In Torres's experience, women like this meant problems. Maya adjusted 6-month-old Marcus against her shoulder as he fussed, his formula growing cold during JFK's endless taxi delays. She pressed the call button once, gently. "Excuse me." Maya's voice carried the warm authority of someone accustomed to being heard. "Could you warm this bottle? Marcus has been crying for 20 minutes. Torres studied the formula, then Maya's face, her expression hardening like concrete. "We don't provide bottle warming in first class. Handle it yourself." The businessman in 1B glanced up sharply. He'd flown this route monthly for 3 years. Flight attendants always warmed bottles. Always. Maya's smile remained steady. "Of course. Where might I do that?" "Actually," Torres's voice sharpened to a blade, "I need to see your boarding pass again." The request landed strangely in the quiet cabin. Maya reached into her Kelly bag. Torres missed the subtle Hermes logo entirely and produced her boarding pass. Johnson Maya MS, seat 02A, first class. Torres examined it like a forensic expert, jaw working. "This doesn't look legitimate." Conversation died around them. Movie screens paused. Phone cameras discreetly activated. The woman in 3C had covered discrimination lawsuits for CNN. She recognized this moment's dangerous potential. "I'm sorry?" Maya's tone stayed level, but her posture shifted almost imperceptibly, shoulders squaring, chin lifting by degrees. "Gather your belongings. Move to coach. Now." Marcus whimpered against Maya's chest, sensing the tension. She stood smoothly, her movement revealing her phone screen for a split second. Multiple missed calls from Richard, CEO office, and legal urgent. A text preview. Board meeting moved your decision on personnel matters. Torres saw none of it, tunnel-visioned on her assumption. "This is my seat," Maya said quietly. "I purchased this ticket 3 weeks ago. Would you like my confirmation email?" "I don't care what paperwork you wave around." Torres crossed her arms like a bouncer. "People like you always pull this routine. Act entitled, hope we're too busy to check properly." The words detonated in the cabin's pressurized silence. Marcus's cries intensified. Maya bounced him instinctively, her 3-carat diamond catching overhead lights. Her wedding ring bore an inscription most would miss. R&M Johnson, partners in everything. But Torres remained blind to details, seeing only what fit her preconceptions. "Lower your voice and return to coach immediately. You're disturbing passengers." Maya's voice had never risen above conversational level. Everyone knew it. The absurdity hung heavy as mountain air. By now, every first-class passenger was watching. The live stream counter on one hidden phone climbed past 40,000. Social media algorithms detected rising engagement, pushing the stream to broader audiences. Torres felt the scrutiny like stage lights and leaned harder into her position. "I don't explain procedures to passengers. Comply or face aircraft removal." Maya's phone vibrated insistently. Another text flash. "Staff situation requires immediate attention. Your authority needed." "Richard." She dismissed it, focusing on Marcus, whose hunger was becoming genuine distress. Reaching for his pacifier triggered Torres's next miscalculation. "Don't get aggressive with me," Torres snapped, stepping into Maya's personal space. "I've handled your type before." The businessman in 1B couldn't stay silent. "Excuse me, this woman has been completely respectful. What's the actual issue here?" "Sir, return to your seat. This doesn't involve you." But it involved everyone now. Phones emerged like flowers after rain. The digital storm was building momentum, though Maya remained unaware of her internet fame growing by the minute. The captain's voice filled the cabin. "Ladies and gentlemen, initial descent into Los Angeles begins now. Ground arrival in 1 hour, 15 minutes. Maya checked her Cartier watch, Richard's anniversary gift last year. The board meeting she'd planned to attend virtually would require different arrangements now. This situation demanded her complete focus. "Perfect," she whispered, inaudible to Torres, but caught by the closest recording device. Torres interpreted Maya's composure as calculated defiance. She'd encountered upgrade scammers before, but never someone this polished, this unshakable. Most people cracked under pressure. This woman seemed to draw strength from it. Her phone buzzed with notifications. The airline's crisis management team was fielding social media questions about Flight 447, but Torres ignored everything except the confrontation she was determined to win. Marcus's distress peaked, his cries echoing off cabin walls. Maya's maternal instincts battled her professional training. 15 years of corporate crisis management had taught her de-escalation techniques, though she'd never needed them from this angle before. Other passengers began murmuring. The couple in 4A whispered urgently to each other. Someone behind Maya muttered about calling the news. The energy was shifting, but Torres pushed forward anyway. "Ms. Torres," Maya said, reading the name tag with deliberate care, "I need you to understand something. I am exactly where I belong. In the seat I paid for. Holding my son who needs to eat. Are you going to warm this bottle, or do I speak with your supervisor?" The challenge hung between them like a thrown gauntlet. Torres's face flushed red. "No, you're moving to coach right now, and if you refuse, security will be waiting at LAX to escort you off my aircraft." The businessman recording from 1B nearly dropped his phone. "Your aircraft?" he muttered to himself. Maya's smile returned, slow and knowing. She shifted Marcus to her other arm, revealing more of her phone screen. A contact labeled American Airlines board showed 17 missed calls. But Torres saw only what she'd always seen, another problem passenger who needed managing. The battle lines crystallized. Cameras rolled silently. 47,000 people watched in real time, and Maya Johnson began to understand exactly how this was going to end. The moment Torres claimed ownership of the aircraft, Maya's expression shifted almost imperceptibly. Anyone who knew her from boardroom negotiations would have recognized the look, the subtle tightening around her eyes that preceded corporate executions. "Your aircraft?" Maya repeated softly, adjusting Marcus, who had finally quieted against her chest. "That's an interesting way to phrase it." Torres missed the danger entirely. Flight attendants have full authority over passenger compliance. Federal Aviation Regulation 121.580 gives us complete discretion. Maya nodded slowly. "You're absolutely right about FAR 121.580. You clearly know your regulations." Her phone buzzed again. This time she glanced at it deliberately. The preview showed, "Richard, crisis team standing by. Your call on full response protocol." She typed back quickly, "Not yet. Let this play out." The businessman in 1B caught the exchange. Something about Maya's calm efficiency triggered a memory he'd seen her somewhere before. Corporate events? Industry conferences? The recognition danced just out of reach. Torres interpreted Maya's phone usage as disrespect. "Ma'am, put that device away immediately. You're creating a safety hazard." A safety hazard? The woman in 3C spoke up for the first time. As a legal journalist, she'd covered enough airline incidents to know regulations. Using a phone during flight isn't a safety violation. "Ma'am, I need you to remain quiet or I'll have you removed as well," Torres snapped, her authority complex expanding like a wildfire. Now, multiple passengers exchanged glances. This wasn't standard procedure. This wasn't even reasonable procedure. Torres was improvising rules, drunk on power she thought she possessed. Maya stood gracefully, still holding Marcus. "Ms. Torres, I think we need to involve your supervisor now. This situation has escalated beyond reasonable crew discretion." "I don't have a supervisor on this aircraft. I am the senior flight attendant on duty." Torres squared her shoulders like a general claiming territory. "And I'm ordering you to move to coach or face federal charges for interfering with crew duties." The threat of federal charges sent ripples through the cabin. Phones appeared more openly now. The live stream viewer count exploded past 75,000 as people shared the feed across platforms. Comments flooded in. "This is insane. Someone needs to stop this. That flight attendant has lost her mind." Maya's training kicked in, not the de-escalation techniques she'd mastered for corporate conflicts, but something deeper. The strategic patience her father had taught her during childhood chess games. Let your opponent overextend. Give them rope. Wait for the perfect moment. "Federal charges," she repeated thoughtfully. "For sitting in my assigned seat with my boarding pass and identification, while holding my infant son." She paused, letting the absurdity hang in recycled air. "Ms. Torres, are you certain you want to pursue this course of action?" Something in Maya's tone should have been a warning. The same voice she'd used 3 months ago when informing a regional manager that his embezzlement had been discovered. Calm, professional, absolutely lethal. But Torres heard only what sounded like challenge. "Are you threatening me?" "I'm asking if you're sure." Maya's smile remained warm, almost maternal. "Because once you involve federal authorities, this becomes a very different conversation. One with documentation, witnesses, legal consequences." The captain's voice interrupted. "Flight attendants, please prepare for descent. 35 minutes to landing." Torres felt time pressure for the first time. Whatever victory she was pursuing needed to happen quickly. "Final warning. Move to coach, or I'm calling the pilot to have you arrested upon landing." Marcus stirred in Maya's arms, his tiny fingers grasping at her silk blouse. She looked down at him with infinite tenderness, then back at Torres with something much colder. "Call him," she said simply. Torres blinked. Passengers who got this far usually backed down. The calm acceptance threw her off balance. "What?" "Call the pilot. Tell him you need federal law enforcement to arrest a mother and infant for the crime of sitting in first class while black." Maya's voice carried to every corner of the cabin. "I'm sure he'll be very interested in that conversation." The businessman in 1B suddenly placed her face. "Oh my God," he whispered to himself. "Maya Johnson. The aviation industry summit last year." His recording finger trembled slightly. Torres, however, had passed the point of rational thinking. Pride and prejudice had fused into toxic determination. She reached for the internal phone to contact the cockpit. "Captain Morrison? This is Torres. I need law enforcement to meet us at LAX. Passenger in 2A is refusing to comply with crew instructions and making threats." Maya listened with professional interest. No mention of race. No mention of the actual conflict. Just the sanitized version that would look good in official reports. Through the phone's speaker, Captain Morrison's voice carried clearly. "What specific violation occurred, Jessica?" Torres hesitated. "Passenger refuses to move to assigned seat. Boarding pass shows coach." Longer hesitation. "No, sir. First class. But there appears to be some kind of error." "What kind of error?" Around them, passengers leaned forward. The live stream comments became a waterfall of disbelief. Someone had started a Twitter thread documenting every exchange. The story was going viral in real time. "The passenger doesn't appear to belong in first class," Torres said finally. Silence stretched over the intercom. When Morrison spoke again, his voice carried a different tone. "Jessica, did you verify the passenger's identification and boarding documents?" "Yes, but did the passenger threaten crew or other passengers?" "She's being uncooperative and—" "Yes or no, Jessica? Threats or physical aggression?" Torres glanced at Maya, who stood perfectly still, gently swaying with Marcus. "No direct threats, but her attitude—" "I'll handle this after landing. Continue descent preparations." The line went dead. Torres stared at the phone like it had betrayed her personally. Maya didn't gloat, didn't smile, simply returned to her seat and began preparing a bottle for Marcus as if nothing had happened. But her phone screen, visible to the businessman recording from 1B, showed a text conversation that made his blood run cold. "Richard, legal team is watching live stream. PR team on standby. Do you want full corporate response?" Maya's reply. "Give me 10 more minutes, then yes." "Richard, understood. Full authority activated on your signal." The businessman realized he was watching corporate theater at its highest level. This wasn't just a discrimination incident. This was a controlled demolition in progress. Torres, meanwhile, faced a cabin full of hostile passengers and growing social media storm. Her supervisor, whoever that actually was, clearly wasn't backing her play. The pilot had essentially hung up on her. And Maya Johnson sat in 2A feeding her baby with the calm confidence of someone who held cards she hadn't shown yet. 20 minutes to landing, the captain announced. Torres looked around the cabin, finally sensing she'd walked into something much bigger than a seating dispute. The phones pointing at her, the passenger in 2A who seemed completely unworried about federal law enforcement, the growing buzz of conversation as people recognized they were witnessing something unprecedented. For the first time since the confrontation began, Jessica Torres felt afraid. Maya glanced at her watch, then at Torres, then typed one final message. "Richard, it's time." The real show was about to begin. Maya's phone buzzed with an incoming call. The contact name flashed across her screen for everyone nearby to see. Richard Johnson, CEO. She answered on the second ring, her voice dropping to the intimate tone reserved for family. "Hi, baby. Yes, I'm handling it. She just called the captain to have me arrested." Torres froze. The endearment hung in the air like a smoking gun. "Richard Johnson?" the businessman in 1B whispered, his face going pale. He knew that name. Everyone in aviation knew that name. The man who'd acquired controlling interest in American Airlines 18 months ago. The billionaire who'd revolutionized 3 industries before turning 40. Maya continued her conversation, completely relaxed. "No, don't intervene yet. Let me try something first." She paused, listening, then laughed softly. "Trust me, you'll want to see this." She ended the call and looked directly at Torres, who stood motionless in the aisle. "Ms. Torres, I have something for you." Maya reached into her Kelly bag with deliberate slowness, the way someone might approach a skittish animal. What emerged wasn't a wallet or passport. It was a business card holder, leather and understated. She extracted a single card and held it out. Torres took it automatically, her brain still processing the phone call she'd just witnessed. The card stock felt expensive between her fingers, corporate quality. When she looked down, The color drained from her face like water through a broken dam. Maya Johnson, Executive Vice President, Strategic Operations, American Airlines. The corporate logo gleamed gold embossed at the top. Below Maya's name, in smaller text, Board of Directors, Personnel Authority, Fleet Operations Oversight. Torres stared at the card. Read it again. A third time. The words didn't change. "That's impossible," she whispered. Maya's smile remained gentle, almost pitying. "Ms. Torres, I've been watching your performance for the last 45 minutes. From a personnel management perspective, it's been quite educational." The cabin had gone dead silent except for Marcus's contented feeding sounds. Passengers leaned forward like theater audiences during a crucial monologue. The live stream viewer count hit 150,000. Torres looked up from the card, her eyes wild. "This is fake. You're scamming. This is all some elaborate... Would you like me to call Richard back? He can verify my identity." Maya's tone remained conversational. "Or perhaps you'd prefer to contact American Airlines corporate directly. I believe the emergency personnel line is still 1-800-433-7300. The businessman in 1B was frantically Googling on his phone. His face confirmed what everyone was beginning to suspect. Maya Johnson, Executive VP, Board Member, wife of Richard Johnson, American Airlines majority shareholder. "Oh shit," he breathed, loud enough for nearby passengers to hear. Maya glanced at him with amusement. "Language, please. There are children present." She gestured to Marcus, who'd finished his bottle and was now gazing around the cabin with infant curiosity. Torres clutched the business card like it might spontaneously combust. "You can't be. You're..." She stopped herself before finishing the sentence, but everyone knew what she'd almost said. "I'm what, Ms. Torres?" Maya's voice carried a new edge. Not angry. Interested. Like a scientist observing a particularly fascinating specimen. Silence. "I'm black? Young? A mother?" Maya stood slowly, Marcus still in her arms. "Which of those qualities makes you think I can't hold an executive position at a Fortune 100 company?" Torres backed against the galley wall. "I didn't mean... Actually, let's discuss what you meant." Maya's corporate training fully engaged now. "In the last hour, you've accused me of ticket fraud, demanded I move to coach despite valid documentation, threatened federal prosecution, claimed ownership of an aircraft you don't possess, and called the pilot to have me arrested. All while I've done nothing except request bottle warming for my infant son." Each word landed like a hammer blow. Torres felt the weight of 150,000 people watching her career disintegrate in real time. "But here's what's really interesting," Maya continued, her voice taking on the tone she used during board presentations. "Your behavior wasn't random. It followed a very specific pattern, one we've been studying extensively as part of our customer experience initiatives." Maya shifted Marcus to her other arm, revealing her phone screen again. This time, everyone could see the apps: American Airlines Executive Dashboard, Employee Database, Incident Reporting System. 47 discrimination complaints filed against American Airlines crew members in the last 6 months. 31 involved passengers of color being questioned about their seat assignments. 18 involved demands to see additional documentation. 12 involved threats of law enforcement. The statistics hung in the air like accusations. Torres stared at Maya with growing horror, finally understanding the magnitude of her mistake. "The pattern is so consistent," Maya said thoughtfully, "that we've been developing new training protocols, sensitivity workshops, bias recognition seminars. In fact, Ms. Torres, your name appears in our database 17 times for similar incidents." Torres's legs nearly gave out. 17? Customer complaints, 3 formal grievances, 2 written warnings from supervisors. Maya scrolled through her phone casually. all documenting the same behavior pattern we've witnessed today. The businessman in 1B was recording everything, his hands shaking slightly. This wasn't just a discrimination incident anymore. This was a corporate case study unfolding in real time. Now, Maya said, her voice returning to its original warmth, I have a decision to make. As Executive Vice President of Strategic Operations, I have full authority over personnel matters involving customer service violations. Torres's breathing became shallow. Ms. Johnson, I'm sorry. I didn't know. You didn't know who I was, Maya interrupted gently. But that's exactly the problem, isn't it? Your behavior shouldn't depend on knowing someone's corporate position. It should be consistent for every passenger. Marcus gurgled happily in Maya's arms, completely oblivious to the professional execution occurring around him. 10 minutes to landing, the captain announced. Maya checked her watch. Perfect timing. Ms. Torres, I need you to make a choice. When we land, you can walk off this aircraft as a former American Airlines employee with a reference letter. Or you can walk off as someone facing federal discrimination charges and a civil lawsuit. Torres's world collapsed around her ears. Please, I have a mortgage, student loans, I can't. Then you understand the importance of this moment, Maya said quietly. Choose wisely. The cabin waited in breathless silence as Torres faced the consequences of an hour's worth of assumptions. Torres's hand trembled as she held Maya's business card. The corporate seal seemed to burn her fingertips. Around them, passengers leaned forward like courtroom spectators awaiting a verdict. I choose the reference letter, Torres whispered, her voice barely audible over the aircraft's engines. Maya nodded slowly. Smart choice, but we're not finished yet. Sit down, Ms. Torres. The command carried absolute authority. Torres sank into the jump seat across from Maya's row, her legs unable to support her weight any longer. You see, Maya continued, settling Marcus against her shoulder, this isn't just about you anymore. This is about the culture that created you. The system that enabled 17 documented incidents of discrimination under your employment. Maya's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, then showed the screen to the cabin. A video call request from Richard Johnson, CEO. She accepted. Richard's face appeared on screen, handsome, mid-30s, unmistakably the billionaire whose photo graced Forbes covers. His expression mixed concern with barely controlled fury. Maya, are you hurt? Is Marcus okay? We're fine, baby, but we have a situation that requires immediate corporate response. Richard's eyes found Torres in the background. Ms. Torres, I presume? Torres couldn't speak. She stared at the phone like it contained her own death warrant. Richard, Maya said calmly, I need you to patch in legal, HR, and PR. Conference call. Now. Within 30 seconds, multiple faces appeared in split screen. Maya recognized each one. Chief Legal Counsel Patricia Webb, HR Director Michael, and PR Vice President Sarah Martinez. Everyone can see and hear what's happening? Maya asked. Confirmations echoed from the phone's speaker. Perfect. Ms. Torres, meet the executive team that will decide your professional future. Maya turned the phone so Torres faced the screen directly. Patricia, from a legal standpoint, what just occurred here? Patricia Webb's voice came crisp and professional. Based on the live stream evidence, yes, we've been monitoring. We have clear documentation of racial discrimination, harassment, abuse of authority, and false accusations. Federal civil rights violations under Title VII and the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Torres's face crumpled. The live stream? Currently sitting at 200,000 viewers, Sarah Martinez added. Trending #1 on 3 platforms. CNN is already requesting interviews. Michael cleared his throat. From HR perspective, this represents the 17th documented incident. Termination with cause is not only justified, it's legally required to demonstrate corporate accountability. Maya bounced Marcus gently, her voice remaining steady throughout the professional demolition. Ms. Torres, do you understand the gravity of what's happening? Torres nodded miserably. Good. Now let's discuss solutions. Maya's tone shifted to pure corporate strategy mode. Richard, I want to implement the Dignity Protocol immediately. Full rollout across all domestic flights within 72 hours. Richard nodded. Consider it done. Patricia, draft the legal framework. Already in progress, Patricia replied. Mandatory bias training, body cameras for all crew members, passenger advocacy hotline, and zero-tolerance enforcement with automatic termination. The businessman in 1B was furiously taking notes. He'd never witnessed corporate crisis management at this level. Maya was transforming a discrimination incident into systematic reform in real time. Sarah, PR strategy, Maya continued. Full transparency approach, Sarah responded immediately. Corporate apology, announcement of new policies, commitment to change, turn this crisis into a transformation story. Maya looked directly at Torres. You're going to be part of this solution, Ms. Torres. Torres raised her head hopefully. You're going to record a video statement, Maya explained, acknowledging your behavior, apologizing to affected passengers, and endorsing the new training protocols. It will accompany your resignation letter. And if I refuse? Patricia Webb's voice cut through the phone speaker. Federal prosecution for civil rights violations. Personal lawsuit seeking damages. Permanent employment blacklist in the aviation industry. Your choice. The weight of corporate power pressed down on Torres like deep ocean pressure. She was facing not just Maya Johnson, but the entire executive structure of a Fortune 100 company. A structure that could erase her professional existence with a few keystrokes. I'll do the video, she whispered. Excellent, Maya replied. Michael, draft the resignation package. Generous severance, positive reference letter, and assistance with career transition. We're not vindictive, just thorough. Michael nodded. Standard practice for voluntary resignation under these circumstances. The captain's voice interrupted. 5 minutes to landing. Flight attendants, prepare for arrival. Maya looked at her watch. Perfect timing. Richard, I want the Dignity Protocol announcement ready for release 1 hour after we land, full media blitz. Maya, Richard's voice carried both pride and concern. Are you sure you want to be the public face of this? The media attention will be intense. Maya smiled at the camera. Baby, we didn't build this company to hide from difficult conversations. Besides, Marcus needs to grow up in a world where this behavior has consequences. As if responding to his name, Marcus gurgled happily, completely oblivious to the corporate revolution occurring around him. Patricia, Maya continued, I want statistical analysis of all discrimination complaints across our network. Full audit, published results, action plans for problem areas. Timeline? Patricia asked. 30 days. Complete transparency. Torres watched this exchange with growing amazement. Maya wasn't just addressing her individual behavior. She was leveraging this incident to transform an entire corporate culture. Ms. Torres, Maya said, refocusing attention, do you understand what you're witnessing? Torres nodded slowly. You're changing everything. No, Maya corrected gently. We're changing everything. Your behavior created this moment, but our response will define what comes next. You can be part of the problem or part of the solution. The aircraft touched down with a gentle bump. Through the windows, Torres could see news vans already waiting on the tarmac. Somehow, word had spread faster than flight time. Sarah, Maya said, those are your media contacts, I assume? Some of them, Sarah replied. Maya, the story's gone international. BBC, Reuters, Al Jazeera, everyone wants comment. Maya looked at Torres one final time. Last chance to change your legacy, Ms. Torres. Walk off this plane as someone who made a mistake and committed to doing better. Or walk off as someone who fought change until the end. Torres stood slowly, her decision crystallizing. I want to help. With the training programs, the policy development. I know how this thinking develops because I lived it. Maya's expression softened almost imperceptibly. "That's the first intelligent thing you've said all flight." Richard's voice carried approval. "Maya, I think we have our first Dignity Protocol spokesperson." As passengers began deplaning, Maya gathered her belongings with practiced efficiency. Marcus dozed peacefully in his carrier, completely unaware that his feeding time had triggered a corporate revolution. Torres waited until the other passengers had left, then approached Maya hesitantly. "Ms. Johnson, can I ask you something?" Maya paused in her packing. "Of course." "Why didn't you tell me who you were from the beginning? You could have stopped this in the first 5 minutes." Maya looked at her with something approaching compassion. "Because then you would have changed your behavior for the wrong reasons. You would have treated me differently because of my position, not because treating passengers with dignity is the right thing to do." Torres absorbed this, nodding slowly. "Besides," Maya added with a slight smile, "this way was much more educational. For both of us." As they walked toward the aircraft door together, executive and former employee, victim and perpetrator, future collaborators, Maya's phone buzzed with a text from Richard. "Proud of you. See you at the press conference." The revolution was just beginning. The LAX tarmac buzzed with controlled chaos. News crews positioned cameras while airport security established perimeters. Maya emerged from the jet bridge carrying Marcus, with Torres walking 2 steps behind, a careful choreography of accountability and redemption. Richard Johnson waited at the gate, his presence commanding immediate attention from everyone in the terminal. At 36, he carried himself with the quiet confidence of someone who'd built empires before most people finished graduate school. When he saw Maya, his expression shifted from corporate concern to husband and father relief. "Are you both okay?" he asked, embracing them carefully. "We're fine," Maya replied, then turned to include Torres in the conversation. "Richard, meet Jessica Torres. She's going to help us change everything." Richard studied Torres with the analytical gaze that had made him legendary in hostile takeovers. Torres straightened under the scrutiny, finding strength she didn't know she possessed. "Mr. Johnson, I want to apologize." "Save it for the cameras," Richard interrupted, not unkindly. "Actions matter more than words now." Patricia Webb approached with a tablet and 2 security officers. "Maya, we need Torres's statement recorded before the press conference. Legal wants everything documented while details are fresh." They moved to a private conference room American Airlines maintained for executive use. Torres sat across from a camera setup, Maya and Richard flanking her just outside the frame. The red recording light activated. "State your name and position," Patricia instructed. "Jessica Torres, flight attendant with American Airlines for 3 years. Torres's voice steadied as she continued. "Today, I discriminated against a passenger based on racial assumptions. I was wrong. Completely, inexcusably wrong." Maya watched Torres's face, seeing genuine remorse replace defensive anger. This was the outcome she'd hoped for, transformation rather than simple punishment. "I assumed Ms. Johnson didn't belong in first class because of her race," Torres continued. "I escalated the situation through my own prejudice. I threatened her with arrest. I slapped her while she held her infant son." Her voice cracked slightly. "There is no excuse for my behavior." The recording continued for 12 minutes. Torres detailed each decision, each assumption, each moment where she could have chosen differently. It was corporate confession booth, painful, necessary, and ultimately liberating. When the camera stopped, Maya spoke first. "Thank you, Jessica. That took courage. Torres looked up in surprise. "You're still calling me Jessica?" "You're not your worst moment," Maya replied simply. "But you are responsible for making sure it never happens again." An hour later, they faced the assembled media in American Airlines' LAX Conference Center. Richard sat at the center podium, Maya to his right with Marcus sleeping peacefully in her arms, Torres to his left, looking nervous but determined. "Good afternoon," Richard began. Today we're announcing the most comprehensive anti-discrimination initiative in aviation history. The Dignity Protocol represents a fundamental shift in how airlines address bias, prejudice, and passenger rights. He outlined the program systematically. Mandatory quarterly bias training for all employees, body cameras for customer-facing staff, an independent passenger advocacy office, and real-time monitoring of discrimination complaints. Effective immediately, Richard continued, any employee who engages in discriminatory behavior will face automatic termination. No warnings, no second chances. We're done tolerating intolerance. A reporter raised her hand. Mr. Johnson, this seems like a massive overreaction to one incident. Maya leaned toward her microphone. This wasn't one incident. This was the 17th documented case involving Ms. Torres alone. Our internal audit revealed over 400 discrimination complaints across our network in the past year. Today was simply the moment we decided enough was enough. Another reporter jumped in. Ms. Torres, why are you participating in this press conference instead of filing a wrongful termination suit? Torres took a breath, glancing at Maya for encouragement. Because being fired would have been the easy way out. Real change requires admitting when you're wrong and working to fix the system that created the problem. The questions continued for 40 minutes. Maya fielded inquiries about implementation timelines with corporate precision. Richard discussed financial commitments, $50 million annually for the Dignity Protocol. Torres answered personal questions about her transformation with growing confidence. Near the end, a young black journalist asked the question everyone was thinking. Ms. Johnson, how do you feel about Ms. Torres now? Maya looked at Torres, then back at the reporter. I feel hopeful. Jessica made terrible choices today, but she's also making brave choices now. Change requires both acknowledging harm and committing to repair. She's doing both. As the press conference concluded, Maya's phone showed social media responses flooding in. The hashtag #DignityInFlight was trending globally. Comments ranged from support for corporate accountability to praise for Torres's willingness to participate in her own education. Torres approached Maya as the media dispersed. What happens now? Now you go home, process what happened, and report to our training center Monday morning, Maya replied. You're going to help design the programs that prevent other people from making your mistakes. Torres nodded, understanding finally settling over her features. Thank you for seeing something worth saving. Everyone deserves the chance to be better than their worst moment, Maya said, even when that moment is recorded by 200,000 people. As they parted ways, Maya felt the satisfaction of a problem transformed into a solution. Corporate power hadn't just won, it had created lasting change. 6 months later, Maya stood in the same first-class cabin of Flight 447, but everything had changed. The crew wore small body cameras that recorded all passenger interactions. Digital displays throughout the aircraft promoted the passenger advocacy hotline. Most importantly, the atmosphere felt different, respectful, professional, genuinely welcoming. Ms. Johnson? The flight attendant approached with genuine warmth. I'm Sarah Kim, and I just wanted to say thank you for everything you've done for our industry. Maya smiled, adjusting 10-month-old Marcus in her lap. How has the training program worked for your crew? Life-changing, Sarah replied honestly. We completed bias recognition workshops last month. I never realized how many assumptions I made daily until we started examining our thought patterns systematically. The Dignity Protocol had exceeded every projection. Discrimination complaints dropped 87% across American Airlines network. Other major carriers adopted similar programs after losing customers to Americans' transparency initiatives. The Department of Transportation now required bias training for all commercial aviation employees. Torres had become an unlikely success story. Her honest testimony about developing discriminatory attitudes resonated with thousands of service industry workers. She now directed American Airlines' bias prevention program, traveling nationwide to conduct training sessions. Her story, from perpetrator to reformer, had inspired documentary filmmakers and academic researchers studying organizational change. Richard joined Maya for the return flight to New York, sliding into seat 2B with the easy familiarity of someone who'd made this journey countless times. "Board meeting went well?" Maya asked, though she already knew the answer from his relaxed posture. "Better than expected. The dignity protocol isn't just good ethics, it's profitable. Customer satisfaction up 23%, employee retention improved, media coverage overwhelmingly positive." He paused, watching Marcus play with a soft toy airplane. "You turned a crisis into competitive advantage." Maya reflected on the journey from that terrible slap to this moment of industry transformation. Sometimes the worst moments create the biggest opportunities for change. Her phone buzzed with the notifications. The documentary about Flight 447, titled Dignity at 30,000 Feet, had premiered at Sundance Film Festival to standing ovations. Torres appeared prominently, discussing her transformation with vulnerability that moved audiences to tears. "Speaking of opportunities," Richard said, "Torres wants to expand the program internationally. British Airways and Air France are requesting consultations." Maya nodded approvingly. "Good. Discrimination doesn't respect national boundaries. Neither should solutions." As the plane descended toward JFK, Maya thought about the touching stories that emerge from life's most challenging moments. These real-life stories of confronting bias had become black stories of triumph, not through anger or vengeance, but through systematic change and corporate accountability. The passenger in 1B, the same businessman who'd recorded the original incident, approached during deplaning. "Ms. Johnson, I just wanted you to know that video changed everything for my company, too. We implemented bias training after watching what happened here." These ripple effects continued expanding. Universities taught case studies about the Flight 447 incident in business ethics courses. Congressional hearings examined discrimination in transportation. Most importantly, countless individuals reconsidered their own unconscious biases. What started as one mother protecting her child's dignity had transformed an entire industry's approach to equality. Now it's your turn. Share your experiences with discrimination in the comments below. Have you witnessed bias in travel, work, or daily life? Your stories matter. They create awareness, spark conversations, and inspire change. Hit that share button to spread this message. Subscribe for more stories proving that quiet strength and systematic action defeat loud prejudice every time. Together, we can ensure dignity wins.